When we were in college, we would hypnotize people on Friday nights instead of going to parties. It was kind of lame, but kind of cool at the same time. So Brian, how did you get into hypnotism? How did that start?
I just thought it would be fun to do. I first time I ever tried it out, I was just winging it completely. I never read anything on it. I just kind of figured I should say stuff to chill people out, and I kind of figured, breathing would be a really big aspect of chilling people out. And then I did the whole countdown from 10 to 1, snapped my fingers, and sure enough, the subject was pretty damn hypnotized. And
what was the first thing you did, like hypnotize-wise?
First thing I did was just kind of move them around to locations. Like I felt that if I tried to make them do embarrassing stuff, they'd probably snap out of it. And it's true enough that that actually translates to real hypnotism. Like if you tell somebody to rob a bank or take off their pants, they're not really going to do it. Because it's all about putting them in such a good mood and such like a happy, calm, comfortable place that if they chose to snap out of it, which they could do at any time, it wouldn't really be that fun. They'd break their fun, and they don't want to do that. So they keep going with it.
From what I've seen of hypnotism, the people kind of go along with it because they're sort of relaxed and it's sort of natural for them to do so, It's definitely not the kind of thing where, in movies and stuff where they're like, oh, you're going to think you're a chicken when somebody says some word or something. The effects we found are very sort of minimal. People, right afterwards, almost universally, people don't remember what they did. And over the course of a week or so, they kind of gradually get pieces and they kind of piece together what happened. But it's not like lasting amnesia and stuff. And for people who have seen hypnotism shows, in a lot of high schools will do that, like in prom. Like I remember my first hypnotism show was at our prom. You see your friends go up there. Your friends act a certain way, and they're not acting that way. And
then you're never their friends again.
Yeah, not after that.
A lot of friendships are destroyed.
No, not after what they do there. Prom is very destructive socially, actually, I found.
Prom? Yeah, I didn't even go to my senior prom.
Really?
It's just, I stayed home and hypnotized myself, dude.
Yeah,
it was great.
Brian, you naturally have like a very deep voice, and I think that helps when you bring people.
Thank you.
I sort of saw what Brian was doing, and I started doing the same thing. All I did was basically follow your sort of induction script, as they sort of call it. But I know a lot of people out there are probably like, I want to hypnotize my friends, and I want to try this. What are the guidelines that you have? What would you give them? Because I think anyone can do it. It's just a matter of testing people out, making sure people are susceptible to it.
I mean, obviously you have to take your time with these things. I'm not a professional stage hypnotist, and obviously they're working on the clock to try and get people hypnotized, and I wouldn't advise trying to do what they do because it's a whole different game. If you're an amateur and you're working with your friends, just get them in a nice dark room, get them as comfortable as possible, and then it's all about breathing is one thing, just their breath. Like if you were to just sit, like sitting in the uncomfortable posture that you have in your chair right now at your desk, if I just ask you to take a really deep breath in, hold it for a second, and let it out, you're gonna feel like 5% better already. So now imagine doing that for like 4 minutes as I just tell you to match my breathing. Like you're gonna get calm.
And your inductions usually take like what, half an hour or so?
Yeah.
Stage induction, they'll do it in minutes, but you take a long time to get people relaxed. If you follow Brian's induction script with your friends and just the principles that he's going through, you should be able to achieve similar results with people who are susceptible.
Obviously not everyone is as susceptible to hypnotism as others. For example, if you find yourself being able to fall asleep really easily, you have a better shot at being hypnotized than people who have a hard time going to sleep.
This isn't scientific, by the way. This is just what we found.
It's parallels, things that we found. But here's an interesting test that a lot of stage hypnotists do. Real quick and dirty rundown to see who might be more susceptible to being hypnotized than others. So I'd ask you to clasp your hands together, fingers out like Charlie's Angels, I guess, and keep your 4 fingers out like this and start to spread them apart. Now, as hard as you can, and keep the rest of your fingers locked nice and tight. Now imagine as you have your fingers as far apart as possible, imagine that a magnetic force is inexorably pulling them closer and closer together. And no matter how hard you strain, no matter how hard you push against this magnetic force, it will slowly bring your 4 fingers back together. Now just imagine that. And if you find yourself looking at your fingers and seeing them start to come together just a little bit.
Mine did a little bit here. That's basically how we got into it. We were bored. Brian said that he could hypnotize people. And that was what we did. We had some ridiculous times and we thought, why not try and turn that into a video and just sort of share this ridiculous thing? Because it makes it, the stage hypnosis guys make it seem like it's this like inaccessible thing,
Yeah.
It's really quite simple.
Yeah.
And you just relax people enough You can get people in a place we found where it's very you can have some fun, do some hypnosis stuff. No one's going to do anything that they're not going to do normally, because they're still conscious. They're not going to strip down in front of you unless they would normally strip down in front of you if you ask them, which I don't know your friends.
I wouldn't recommend asking anyone to strip down in front of you. You'll see things you don't want to see.
Yeah, you don't do that, probably. Yeah. We all know Dan very well because we went to school with him and stuff. We know that he doesn't act like that. He's kind of a shy guy. He doesn't. First of all, if he was not hypnotized and the first thing he saw was Kevin Pollak walking out, he would react to Kevin Pollak. And you can see in the video, there's nothing. He's really thought that Jason Statham hit him with the car.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that was the difficulty of this video, is trying to convey that, trying to let people know, people who don't know Dan, whether or not, trying to let them know, it's like, no, this is totally out of his realm of like normal behavior. He's not like this at all. But he's willing to go along with it. He really does sort of think, that these things are happening to him.
Yeah. No.
And the bees, it turns out with the bees, because he was genuinely terrified.
Yeah.
Of the bees, right?
A look of fear came over him. And,
you know why?
And he started getting really active and physical.
You know why, right?
Why?
Because afterward, I asked him about that, and he says that he's actually allergic to bees. So I think so we kind of unlocked the part of the bad part of his head.
We probably went into territory we shouldn't have gone into.
Yeah. So he actually is deathly allergic to
Your
bees.
uncle is touching you at your birthday party.
No.
You have to sing a song to make him get away.